So there is a story out there of David Oyedepo's church, which has fired a pastor, and they say it's basically because the pastor is not performing. So pastor is not bringing numbers to the church, and so because of this, the mandems fired the man. It's not because he was misbehaving. Ah, no, 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 no. They will excuse you for that. It was that he wasn't bringing numbers. The church is not about numbers, but this shows you people like Oyedepo, they missed this thing way back. It's not a new thing. It's not like a new objective. It's always been that. They've fired so many people. They've fired so many pastors because of this issue of numbers. And this just goes to show you that these people just do not know the Bible like at all. If you read Matthew 18, verse number 20, Matthew 18:20 is very clear. Where two or three are gathered, it doesn't put big numbers. Where two or three are gathered, it does not put big numbers. And so it shows you the approach of a servant's heart and diligence in that it's about it's where the issue is. It's not about how big the number is. Otherwise, Matthew 18 would not make any sense. Why does he use an example of 2 or 3 are gathered? I didn't say 2 or 20. I didn't say 2 and 100 or legion. Use the word legion or whatever it is. A big number, basically. Why didn't he do that? Because that's not what it's about. Service to God has nothing to do with that. But people like Oyedepo are blind. They are blind. They are blinded by numbers. They want to be big. They want to be bigger and bigger, biggest. You'll think, okay, maybe there's about enough. Nope. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, how big is Oyedepo's church himself? It's huge. So to expect these other smaller branches to become like mega churches by themselves, it's very telling of the mindset that they have or the approach that they have. Even if you went to Revelation and chapter number 3, verse number 4, you says, yet you have a few people in Sardis who had not soiled their clothing in filth. So it's very clear there that anyways, people even in church, there are very few people who are actually about what the Lord's business is about. It's like discipleship. If you put up right now, if I did some gossipy video, something like that, 100,000 people then. If I did a Bible study video, there'll be like 1,000 people there. We recently did a set of videos on purpose. If you just go down on the channel, you'll see them. They're not that very old. They were done very recently. I did 3 episodes and I spaced them between 2 days. There is none of those episodes that is over 2,000. But if I make a normal video, I'll just go 3,000-4,000. Why? There are few people that actually care to actually pursue. They may be Christian, but they just do not have that heart of pursuing the Lord. They love God. They go to church. And so what Revelation is saying there, that there is very few people. So this was a church. And it says there are few in there that had not soiled their garments in filth. You know, even when he speaks about a prayer, he doesn't speak about the prayer of a multitude. He doesn't. He says, but the prayer of a righteous man. Notice, the prayer of a righteous man. It's not about numbers. How did you miss that? It's not about having a big crowd praying for you. It's about having the right person praying for you. Okay? So some mandems, unholy as unholy can be. It's about having the right person in praying for you. You go back all the way to Zacharias, right? Chapter number 4, verse number 6. Okay? It says, it's not by might nor by power. Okay? It's not by might nor by power, but my spirit, says the Lord. It's not the numbers. It's not the strength that is reflected in thinking. First Samuel, chapter number 16, verse 7, reflects this idea on how people look at things. Now, people, the average person, now you can see this church in how it sees spiritual matters. It's very carnal. Now, Oyedepo should be, he's an old man in ministry. This thing should be very clear to him. But no, they're not. Yeah, we want numbers. You do not have numbers, that's it. Man, them's fired. This shows you most of these people are not people who care about God. Now, whether they are born again, that's for them to decide. That's for God to decide, because only God knows that. But as I've described earlier on, not everybody that say yes, Lord, actually cares. Not everybody is a disciple, guys. I think people have just thought if a person is committed to going to church, if a person is committed to preaching, if a person is committed to doing this, they are committed to their prayer life, they are committed to they think this commitment means a person is a disciple. That's not the case. Most of these mendems do not even care. Why? They are blinded by what they expect. There's a church I know. That church has never crossed 50 people. It's been there for like 10 years. 10 years. The most it will go like 30 people and stuff like that. The church there to gather and kind of like really resourcefully strategize how they're going to function. And they have to be very creative on how they're going to raise money so that they can constantly have rent money and not be worried about it. They had to really sit down, like the whole church with the pastor. The members, they said, we're going to do this, we're going to commit to this. They committed. We are committed to doing this. It's very few people. And the people that I'm talking about, it's not even like 10 people. Like 3 people or something like that. They committed so that that church would stay. It's a church I know in Joburg. Because the church is not, it's not about the numbers. You are taking care of the herd of Messiah, and your duty is to feed the people with all diligence. So approach that service with diligence. But people they are blinded, they are nearsighted. They keep claiming all these spiritual authority, spiritual what? In simple decisions, in simple things, it will show you. Now, whether these decisions are made by regional pastors and whatnot, they still have to go and get word from headquarters to say, yes, you can go ahead. There are certain things that happen that tell you this person is slowly becoming blind. Slowly. It's very easy to fall into that pocket, especially when one assumes they have arrived. Church is not about big numbers. The church has nothing to do with big numbers. The language he uses, it's not about big numbers. Now someone will look at things like Revelation, there were multitude, you couldn't number. No, that's a multitude there. It's a specific location. It's there. It's not here. In the church, he says, broad is the gate that leads to destruction, but narrow is the way that leads to life. There are very few people, he says, that actually find it. Notice he says, find it. So knowing that, your church, your approach would be completely different. But, like I mentioned earlier on, most of these individuals do not see these things because they have a very worldly view of the church. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. It is said it was one of the biggest churches. I think they gather how many people in a service? This is 75,000 a week. And you see how they view service in Messiah. This applies in many churches. There's been many churches where this has been the issue, where they've fired pastors because of numbers and performance. And when pastors grow a local church, they'll go over, take it over, put another person who they can control. It becomes a whole thing. There's been churches where there's been a lot of that. These small little things that you see, they actually tell you what exactly is happening on the bigger scale. Sriki, I'll tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. It's absolutely sad to see, but it's a reality that people have to deal with. Some of these churches are led by very, very nearsighted, as Peter would say it, nearsighted, because they are unfruitful in the knowledge that they possess.